to actually remember to do it. Like, we've done this for a while, but to remember to, like, all right, I'm talking to you, Deonte. I'm talking to you, Dane, but like looking at the camera and talking to the audience as well.
Yeah, it's a bad habit. I guess it speaks more to the advancement of technology and the advancement of accessibility, because we have adult money now to do adult money things with things that we try to, have our hobbies in. So being able to, it's a common conversation that Deonte and I have, having multiple screens on, like if we're like gaming, if we're just not even playing the game, but just in the party, watching the game, or screen watching somebody else playing the game, or just in general. So it's like, yeah, it's almost all of us like that too. I think every single last one of us has a multiple screen setup where like either a monitor for a computer or a TV nearby, or like, a situation where you can flip, between the two. But
like I can't even hook up my Xbox or PlayStation to the TV anymore. Like I can't do it anymore. It's just like not
it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. I hate it here. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
The doo-wop. The doo-wop. The doo-wop.
But yeah, man. Welcome, audience. Dane and I hopped on the recording session, and we were dressed like some guys that are warm.
Look, we look like extras for NWA, man.
Let's facts. We twins up in this thing. Both had on black hoodies, or not hoodies, black beanies. We did not plan it. Dane has his duo sweater on. I should have threw mine on so it could just look super twinsy, but maybe we could do that.
We'll plan it next time.
We'll do that. We'll do that next episode. But
like
welcome,
t-shirts.
Like welcome, audience. Episode.
My bad. Exactly, and it's both right next to each other. So it's like,
you know what? You know the pictures that I do for, or like the episode covers. Like, should we do one where we're like,
it has to be episode 100.
All right, we'll do it on 100.
Episode 100.
We'll do it on 100. Okay. Y'all hearing all our behind the scenes production talk,
the premium features,
the premium. But this is episode 95 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte Epps, of course, joined by my best man, my guy, my dude who just celebrated his 32nd birthday. Let's give a hand for the guy. Do I have the sound of applause here? Yes, I do. Happy birthday, Day. Happy belated birthday to my guy. How's it feel, man? Another year older, another year wiser.
Man, it feels honestly the exact same as it did on the 21st. It's good. It's good. It's every once in a while you kind of just like, man, I'm this old now. Like, it's that feeling. The feeling of acceptance is setting in. But it was cool, man. We just chilled. I like to keep it low key on the birthday, so just chilled. Got some pizza from my favorite spot. Went to the Home Depot, grabbed some items for building. Put up some shelves in the laundry room.
Yeah,
we used to have like an excessive amount of cleaning supplies and laundry room materials on the top shelf above the washer and dryer. So the wife was like, we should get some shelves right there. And I was like, I know what that means. Babe, I need you to build some shelves right here. So I had to. See, that's what happens. Look, y'all ain't married or you're not in a committed relationship. This is how it all starts. I put
talk to him, Dane.
I'm gonna put you on some game real quick. Long story short, put Langston in the bed, and my son's 3 years old. He sleeps in his bed, and I heard a bunch of loud splashing and loud noise. And I was like, this boy's supposed to be in the bed asleep. What's going on? I'm thinking my wife is watching him on the monitor. So I'm in the living room. I'm like literally just chilling in the living room, like looking up at the ceiling, just chilling. So I get up, I open the door. This dude has like the little diffuser, what you put the little oils in and puts like the aromas in the room. He's in there just tossing lavender in the diffuser, and it's like foaming at the top. So I'm like, Yeah. The crazy thing is he's like, hi, daddy, look. And I'm like, reaction, he's safe, he's good.
Early science experiment action.
Yeah, facts. Like he's safe, he's good. Chill. Like, trying to redirect him, but not lash out on him because of something that I overlooked because of a mistake that I made by not ensuring that he was being watched, and then he was in his bed. So had to make sure I got installed a shelf in his room to put all his stuff up there so that he's not able to get to it. Not yet. Now, once he gets a little bit older, let's say 4 or 5, maybe he'd get the idea, oh, I can climb on top of this and get on top of this. We're not there yet. So I built that shelf real good. Long story short, wife noticed I built that. She's like, you know what? We need more shelves. So, word to the wise. Be good at it, but don't be too good at it. Because if you get too good at it, then it's the expectation for more of it. Unless, of course, you just don't care. I'm not that really good at that type of stuff, but it's something I had to learn on YouTube just because there was a need from a problem, and I created a solution.
YouTube University, right?
Exactly. YouTube University to install the shower heads, new shower heads that they got, the shelves.
Wait, is that a real channel?
No, I'm saying like people refer to like learning stuff on YouTube.
Okay,
YouTube,
you got,
or at least that's what I thought. That's what I think.
Same.
Might be
the way you were so definitive when you say, yeah, YouTube University.
No,
like,
facts.
Yeah,
These are facts. You. Like, so you can learn some cool stuff on there. So yeah, especially home stuff, which feels like a part-time job in some senses, but that's what it was. So I just chilled, and I thought the night was going to go the way that it went, but I was in denial. I expected something other than what happened to happen, and here we are. We'll talk about it later today, but I'm going to bore you with the details. It was a good day, though. It was a good
day. That is good to hear, man. You getting older when, like, your birthday happens and it's just another day.
Exactly.
That's not a bad thing. It's just, thankful, of course, to be alive for another year. Thankful for family, thankful for friends, all that good stuff. But happy it was a good day, nonetheless, besides all the sports side of your birthday, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, let's just get into it. Before we get to your guys, Dane, we had made some predictions about this past weekend. The divisional round. Now I'll ask you this. Were the games to you better, like entertainment value, than the wild card weekend games?
No, I think wild card was a little bit more exciting to me.
Yes, I agree.
And maybe because I was cringing at every hit, because it seemed like every game a major injury took place. And it might not have changed the overall outcome of the game, but it certainly made me like, man.
Especially in that Buffalo game, bro. They were dropping like flies.
Bro.
At one point, you're like, because the Bengals were up, I think at that point, like 2 scores when Poyer and Tre'Davious White when they hit each other, or when
the collision in the end zone?
Yeah, the collision. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah,
I got you, man.
Got you, man. Yeah, that was pretty rough to see, and you're kind of at this point, like, just let the game end just for the safety of the guys that are playing, right?
Is that common? Everybody thought that? I wasn't online keeping a post of it, like, but I enjoyed the wild card, and maybe it might have something to do with my team losing, but I knew they were going to lose. I enjoyed wild card weekend way more than I enjoyed the divisional round, and maybe because there was a larger variety or more.
Yeah, of course you have more games, but the games were more wild. Not true. Pun intended.
All right, you can leave now.
Not to say that the divisional games were bad, but the intrigue of, the closest game was the Cowboys game, which was Sunday night. The Eagles blew out the Giants. Bengals kind of controlled that game against Buffalo throughout the game. KC and Jacksonville was kind of similar to that. And let's go ahead and get into that one first. We both had the Chiefs winning this one. Chiefs come out on top 27-20. The Trevor Lawrence that we saw in this game, compared to last week, or at least the second half against the Chargers, what did you think about that? Like, he didn't play horrible, but there were times when the Chiefs defense, and I think I said this last episode, where the Chiefs aren't known for having an outstanding defense, but
No,
I
they're not.
like watching them during this, Super Bowl caliber runs that they have gone through. The defense steps up at the best times during their runs. Like there are a lot of times when the defense just makes those plays, whether it's a sack or pick. Like throughout the season, they're not that kind of caliber defense, and they always step it up a notch in the playoffs. And there were a couple of plays during this game where um, Trevor Lawrence and those guys are trying to, tie the game up, and the Chiefs defense wasn't having it. And of course, the big storyline out of this one was Patrick Mahomes with the high ankle sprain. He came out for a series, and freaking Chad Henne comes in the game and a 98-yard drive. I tweeted like giving up a 98-yard drive to Chad Henne in 2023 is crazy. But shout out to him. He got the job done when, they needed him. And that's what you need in the backup quarterback, a guy that can come in and not F it up, right?
Right.
And yeah, that Mahomes injury looked bad, but he came back and toughed it out. Probably got a shot or two in the locker room to tough it out and continue to make Mahomes like plays on damn near one leg, which is impressive enough. But yeah, what did you think, bro, about this contest?
Man, it was entertaining, but I ain't gonna lie. It's a hell of a system that Andy Reid and them have going on there for your backup to come in at the drop of a dime. And he's probably got the best job in the world, right?
Yeah.
He knows where his bread is buttered. Well, before him, it was Chase Daniels that probably had the best job in the world. But to come in and just without skipping a beat, pushing, and that was the longest drive of Chiefs playoffs history, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it's either 98 or 99.
Yeah, true. So it was impressive, and it also just kind of shed light on the offensive genius that Andy Reid and his team are. But stepping in, coming in the way they did, I was like, the only thing I was thinking was like, dang, I ain't gonna get to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, assuming that they make it that far. But
Right.
honestly, bro, that game made me kind of just question: do I really want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, or I want to see the Bengals back in the Super Bowl? So that game was a toss up to me because I have no idea how his ankle recovery or lack thereof is going to be this upcoming weekend. But we can only speculate. But
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it, bro.
Yeah, I think there's no way that Patrick Mahomes doesn't play Sunday. Like there's no way this guy doesn't play. I think did you see on the sideline when he was fussing with the medical dude?
Yeah, because he was trying to prevent them from taking him to the locker room, right?
I assumed that it was just about going in the game, but you might be right.
No, it was just speculation. I was just trying to read lips. I was like, all right.
Oh yeah. All I saw was him saying hell no, hell no, hell no. In his Patrick Mahomes, imagine his voice.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah.
Nah,
so
man.
I think he's only like, as much as obviously as a fan of a division rival of the Chiefs, he's only growing to his legend of what they're already saying about him. Right. Like performances like these, playing with one leg,
it's his flu game.
Yeah, basically, right? There's not much to say about it, but like, other than, should I speak, like him adding to what we already think about who this guy is, like,
right?
Just just Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things, throwing off one leg, jumping, like passes that no other quarterback can make. He continues to make even when injured. But on the other end of that, Jacksonville, great season. Definitely after bouncing back from last year, as far as the Urban Meyer situation, going from last division to first, winning a playoff game. That's something to be proud of, and I'm sure Trevor Lawrence and those guys will, in that division, they have a chance to be right back.
It's only going to go like this for them.
Yeah,
they're only going to go, and it's crazy because they were just there. We thought this was the best the Jacksonville Jaguars could be a few years ago with that Jalen Ramsey and Miles Jack led defense. Like we thought that, like, man, this is phenomenal. And
And
then
they
right
get
there.
back. They get Calvin Ridley, who, in the Falcons trade got
Wow.
suspended for the entire year for the gambling situation. So
True
that
number one.
offense is going to be fine.
Yeah. Where
And
where they in the draft? While you're taking them,
yeah,
I need to double check with their draft order with it because they've been hitting on picks.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead and look that up. They offensively they'll be fine. I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In that division where the Titans are probably looking for a guy to lead them at quarterback. Um, the Texans are the Texans. They're still at the top of the draft right now. Who else is in that division? AFC South. The Colts. Like, what I'm saying? Like, this right now, this is Jacksonville's division, and there is a high possibility for them to be right back in the playoffs next year.
Okay, they got the 24th pick, which is still not bad. It's a
Yeah.
really good premium slot. And the needs, when you talk about the needs that they have, what they can always get better in the interior defensive line. Probably can get some offensive line
Or
help.
in the second, like anywhere
Or in
on
the secondary.
defense.
Yeah, on the second. And the crazy thing is about the draft this year, there's so many like big corners this year, like 6'1" and 6'2" and 6'3". Like, whoo.
Yep.
With a couple of episodes later down the road, we can talk about that.
I was just gonna say that.
But
I was just gonna say that.
So,
and then the other game that Saturday evening, Philadelphia Eagles dominating the New York Giants, 38-7. What I thought was interesting in this one, Dane, and if you're an Eagles fan and you see this performance, this is exactly what you want to see out of Jalen Hurts. For one, he didn't he didn't put up big numbers, but he looked healthy, right? Yeah. I think that was the main concern with them in that Week 18 win when they barely beat the Giants and their backup guys. He threw for like 150, I think, and two touchdowns. But that running game and that offensive line dominating,
ridiculous.
And it's not like the Giants have some pushovers on the defensive line, right? They got Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau, a stout, stout front line. And the Giants, or excuse me, the Eagles just dominated. Kenneth Gainwell had 112 yards rushing, Miles Sanders 90. As a team, 268 and 3 touchdowns. That's what you want to see, because for the Philadelphia Eagles, they want to depend on the ground game to open up those big shots to Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, those weapons that they have. On the defensive side, going up against Daniel Jones, frustrated him, got to him. I mean, this is like the Daniel Jones we saw previously before Brian Daboll got there.
During the headlights, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, man. What'd you think about it?
I, for one, I knew the game was going to get out of hand, but I didn't think it was going to get out of hand like that. Like Bo and I, which is your brother, shout out to Bo, Eagles fan. He and I both discussed, like, this is going to be at least a 2-possession game, and our logic was questioned at that time. I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. So I was like,
I think I said that too. I didn't expect it to be this much of a blowout, considering how Week 18 was, and we were both actually, Dane, in the chat together listening to Bo, and it's so funny. If you guys, the audience doesn't know, my brother, one of my older brothers, is a diehard Eagles fan. Eagles fan for years, and when he watches a game, it is a spectacle. And just listening to him watch the game is even more, because you can't see him, but you can see him in your head of how he's reacting to every single thing.
And the most beautiful thing about that is his wife is a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a beautiful synergy, a yin and yang situation going on there. So
yeah.
I'm sure he was eating it up after we lost on Sunday night. I ain't talked to him since, so I need to hit him up.
Same.
Take my licks, man, get those in.
Yeah. I think we can run through this one pretty quick, man. It's just the Eagles dominating Giants.
Do you want to go preview or wait till later? Because we're on the topic, how easy it was for them to move the ball. Like, they didn't have to try, and maybe that spoke to them holding back. Maybe they held back in that final that final regular season matchup, because this was a beatdown.
Yeah.
Like this was what you do. This is what you do to the bully that stole your lunch money for like
Right.
a number of years, and you finally had it.
I don't know if it's more of them holding back or just kind of shaking off the rust in that game, because that was the first game they had Hurts back.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys were coming back from injury on the defensive side. CJ Gardner-Johnson, was just getting back in his groove, and that secondary and defense getting back to how they were playing at the beginning of the year. I think that kind of helped them. And also seeing the Giants, what the Giants like to do, and taking those things to the film room over that week span or week and a half span, and like, all right, we ready to go. We at home.
Right.
We got the momentum. We trying to make a championship run here. So I feel you on that one. And yeah, we'll get to that preview the NFC Championship in a bit.
Rubbing my ass.
Yeah, and probably the coach of the year, Brian Daboll, up there. Remarkable job we did with the Giants. Looking like they're going to bring Daniel Jones back. A lot of Giants fans are split on that. Going to be interesting to see if they bring Saquon back, though, Dane. But we'll keep an eye on that in the offseason. Probably the headline, I would say headline game, maybe this one and the Cowboys game, the Bengals-Bills on Sunday afternoon. Another dominating performance, right? This is the game, obviously, that was postponed and then later canceled due to Damar Hamlin. And the Bengals started this game out the same way they did that Monday night game, driving down the field and scoring a touchdown. Joe Burrow looks like he's on a mission, bro. 23 of 36, 242, 2 touchdowns, looked calm in the pocket, did not look phased. And I think a lot of people, analysts, even I was kind of concerned, even though I had the Bengals picking this one. My concern was the offensive line. They had lost a couple of starters. We know last year they made that Super Bowl run, but what kind of failed them in the Super Bowl was not being able to protect Joe Burrow. They've done a great job of that all year, but we seen it last week when they won their game against the Ravens, that they were struggling. And that's kind of a salute to the Ravens defense. They have they've always been known for their defense. And so to see the offensive line not only protect Joe Burrow, bro, but Joe Mixon had some lanes to run through. Samaje Perine had lanes to run through. It was
watching Joe Mixon run the ball, because he can mix you and he can stiff arm you under the turf. Watching him run the ball is a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
I love it. It's not the same player. I'm not saying he's the same player, but it gives me flashbacks of you can do it all backs like LaDainian Tomlinson. Like that's who it reminds me of. Like,
yeah. And when he averaged 5 yards a carry, 20 carries, 105 yards. That's give him 2 times. That's a first down. It was just so easy for the Bengals. Mind you, this game was in Buffalo, right? Yeah. All the momentum with Buffalo, playing at home. Damar Hamlin was there. It was snowing. Everything element-wise and atmosphere-wise you would think would favor the Buffalo Bills, but Joe Burrow was on the other side.
Joe cool. Bro, we talked about this last week, and I predicted it was going to be a high-scoring game. I didn't think the Bengals defense was going to show up the way that they did to frustrate Josh Allen the way that they did. But he had an off night. That happens in this league. Is going to happen plenty more times. But I didn't expect this. I thought it was going to be like a one-possession game. The last person with the ball was going to win type of situation. But
yeah, with
the way that the Bengals are moving the ball in the air, on the ground, they did not look they looked unstoppable.
Yeah,
which has me teetering the way that I want to change my picks, and I wouldn't be surprised at the outcome of this week's championship, or I wouldn't be surprised at the outcome of these championships just because of how balanced they are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we had talked about it last week, bro. They were coming in on a 8-game win streak last week, man. Or when they beat the Ravens, that made it 9 games. These guys are hot. And the reason why I picked them, not only because they were hot, but the Bills were the opposite of that. They were like a roller coaster of emotions and gameplay. Like Josh Allen was playing up and down.
Yeah.
On the
They're
defensive
they're gonna
side,
go just as far as Josh Allen takes them,
yeah.
unfortunately.
The week before, when they beat Miami, they gave up 31 points to a team that didn't have Tua or Teddy
Man, I ain't look
Bridgewater.
at that like that.
Yeah, they had Skylar Thompson quarterbacking, and he led them almost to an upset.
True.
The Bills defense has not been the same. I mentioned this last week as well since Von Miller got hurt. They can't get to the quarterback. I know you're looking at me crazy. They can't get to the quarterback. He was such a big piece for them, being able to put pressure, and that kind of was their Achilles heel towards the end of the year. More than expected when he went down. And then like we mentioned at the top of the pod, bro, injuries on not only Von Miller, but the back secondary area. Guys were falling like flies towards the end of the game. Linebackers. And when that kind of happens, it's just like at this point, it's like, man, let's just get out of here as healthy as possible. But yeah, just seemed like the Bengals were, or should I say, are on a mission.
Greater words have not been spoken.
Yeah.
So, well, before we get into this last one,
Yeah.
and you can mention the last one if you want to. Who's the most disappointing loss for you, or maybe the most surprising loss for you?
Surprising loss. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with this one. Just I won't say the loss, just the performance. Like you had mentioned, like this game being kind of closer. We expected kind of this back and forth between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow.
Right.
Just Josh Allen probably played his worst playoff game ever.
Yeah,
and you know, I think just the inconsistency that we saw leading up to it could kind of lean this way, but I still didn't expect it to be. Let's look at his stat line. He was 25 of 42, 265, no touchdowns, one pick. And what's the biggest thing that's a part of Josh Allen's game is like taking off and running with the ball.
Running.
He had his longest run was 6 yards. So that's credit to the Cincinnati defense. He only had 26 yards rushing, so just wasn't like a Josh Allen kind of game. And when I was watching the game, it kind of felt like he was trying to do too much a lot of the times, where he was trying to score through a Madden and like throw for a touchdown every single play.
We talked about that too.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
Going for them home runs every single throw, and that's just not sustainable.
Right, not at all. And so
not at that round of the playoffs, at least.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and I'm glad you brought that up. The lack of a run game for this team proved to be detrimental. Their starting running back is Devin Singletary, and I feel like I was watching the game and I never seen him carry the ball. He did carry it for six times for 24 yards. James Cook, 5 carries, 13 yards. That's not going to get it done in the playoffs. I feel like having a sustainable run game, and I think this will kind of lead us into the Dallas and San Francisco game. Having a sustainable run game in the playoffs is highly important, extremely important. Take the pressure off the quarterback, play action, that old school kind of run, pass, play action, kind of not having that secondary creep in so much to stop the run. Have the linebackers come up thinking it's going to be run to set up the pass, but
buying you that fraction of a second.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. And I think the Bills probably I saw this, and we'll get to this in future episodes, Dane, about a running back that they could possibly get in the draft. We talked about this with the Lions as well, as Bijan Robinson. They're missing a run game to take off that pressure from Josh Allen. If they get a running back via free agency or the draft that can kind of come in, and I'm trying to think of a running back this past year that did well, like rookie, that kind of filled in for somebody. Like, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, exactly. Walker from the Seahawks came in and took the pressure off Geno, and look what kind of year Geno had, right? So somebody like that can come in, and play well can help the Bills. But on to this last game, Dane. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about it.
Let's talk.
The Cowboys and the Niners. I actually predicted you guys to kind of pull it off. I thought this was going to be the year that you got the monkey off the back. I and the score was 19-12. Obviously, Niners win. What I said last week, Dane, I felt that the Cowboys defense was going to play well. I felt like the Cowboys defense was going to put pressure on Brock Purdy, and we would see a different Brock Purdy who had not been pressured, who had not been put through the ringer, so to speak. I won't say playing from behind, but just feeling a sense of urgency.
Right.
I don't think he had played a defense like Dallas yet that had some guys that can get to the quarterback. And for the most part, throughout the game, he felt there were times, I won't say from first quarter through fourth quarter, but there were times in the game where you made him a little antsy, sacked him 2 times, but not like there were some pressures in there that made him kind of get rid of the ball. And if I'm coming into the game, Dane, if we didn't know the final score of the game, right? We didn't know that the Cowboys lost. If you said the Cowboys held the Niners to 19 points, you would take that, right?
I would take that. 9 times out of 10, I would take that.
Right. And because you look at how well Brock Purdy had been playing, he had elevated the San Francisco offense with all the weapons that they had. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell. They were scoring like 30-something points a game. And you held them to 19 points. And the disappointing thing about that, and this is where I'm going to hand the baton to you, only scoring 12 points, having opportunities to make big plays, not capitalizing on those things and losing 19-12.
Well, Deonte, this is where I would take the opportunity normally to gloat and tell people I told you so. But I've been talking for this has been well documented for a number of years.
Yep.
This quarterback picked the greatest opportunity possible to play one of the worst games we've seen from him in a very long time. And that's hard to do coming from somebody who's had a crap ton of bad games this year.
Yeah.
Now, say what we want. I'm going to say what I want, or we can say what we want about the quarterback and how we want him gone and all these things. Let's stick with the facts. The facts are there isn't a single team desperate enough to take on that contract without Dallas throwing in a buttload of picks or making the trade very sweet. There's that. There's I don't know, maybe the fact that this guy has a no trade clause in his contract. So there's that. Then there's the fact of maybe this was just a really bad match between this quarterback and the offensive coordinator. There's also that. But Deonte, I was not surprised. I was not disappointed. If anything, I was like, this is exactly what I was expecting. Unfortunately, I can't sit here and tell you that I finished the entire game. After the 49ers scored that lone touchdown of the entire game, I was like, yep.
Right.
That's all she wrote. And of course, there was plenty of time left on the clock. But I've seen the story one too many times. I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and watch some. Let me go watch some with the wife. So she's like, the game's over already? I was like, no, it's not. And mind you, this is my birthday, so I'm like, I
ain't gonna let them ruin my birthday.
Yeah, exactly. And the crazy thing is, it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with I know how this is gonna go. I'd rather do something else. So I can't tell you how the last possession or possessions went. I heard all about some of the plays and how they played out. Even the last play I heard about how they played out, but I still haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen that last play?
I haven't seen the last drive. I've watched. I think I watched the kick return and that was it. Maybe. Yeah, that was it. They scored. They kicked the PAT, and then I watched the kick return. And
Let me tell you about the last play since you didn't see it. Let me see if I can paint a picture for you.
Oh wait, I heard how it went. I'm not going to look for it because I refuse.
You understand?
It didn't help me then.
You understand how, like, in your mind, you've been told what it looked like?
At first, I thought it was a joke that, radio hosts or the posts that I saw on Twitter or online. I thought those were like they were making light of, Zeke being a glorified right tackle in the backfield, essentially on most third down plays. Like I thought that's where they're from, but from my understanding, my comprehension, he was playing center, some weird. I don't know.
What's the Ice Cube GIF where he's like saying yes from Friday? Yes.
Yeah,
he was at center, and I saw this funny meme of when old boy wore Zeke's jersey during y'all training camp. They flipped jerseys.
Yeah.
He said that was Zeke at center. I don't understand that play. You've been painted the picture of that play, which right. I don't get what was going on there. But I got off the phone with my dad before we recorded about 2 hours ago. And we were talking about the game. We talked about the game after it happened, but right. we just happened to have a conversation about Dak Prescott in general. And my thing, and I see, and I'll bring it to you.
How much time do you have?
Well, I said this, and I'll see if you agree or disagree with me.
Got my notes right here in front of me.
Because I've seen a lot of talk online, obviously, the slander and things of that nature. The Dallas Cowboys account tweeting what it tweeted, and we'll talk about that in a second too. Did you see that, by the way?
Oh, you're talking about the article from the
team account?
Team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that in a second. But I told my dad, I was like, okay, Dak Prescott, because a lot of people are saying he'll never be Joe Burrow, he'll never be elite, all that kind of talk. And I was like, okay, that can be true. But if we look at the past quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls, there have been instances where the quarterback was not elite, right? And they won a Super Bowl.
They needed to be average. They needed to be average.
And I said that. I said he doesn't have to be elite.
Nope.
He will not be a Patrick Mahomes. He will not be a Joe Burrow. He will not be a Josh Allen. All those,
even though as many times as he tries to needle and thread balls in places where they're not supposed to go and inevitably getting picked off, he will never be one of those guys. And that's not a knock on him. That's just the reality.
Right.
Sometimes God touches the shoulder of a person and allows them to throw a ball, 120 miles an hour. That's just how it goes down.
And I agree with you. And I'm like, he doesn't have to be or try to be those guys.
Right.
He needs to be average at best. If he was average on Sunday, Dane,
you win that game.
You win the game.
Win the game.
1 or 2 or 3. There were 3 different instances where Dak essentially gave up points. That first pick that he threw was kind of a late throw.
Again.
And somebody else made a point. Oh, Michael Irvin made a point on First Take where he was like, it reminded him the way Dak plays, or like how he when he drops back and does a fake pump fake, hesitates to throw the ball. He said that reminds him of Troy Aikman when they were playing back in the day. And did he say Jimmy Johnson? One of the Norv Turner was the offense coordinator for y'all back then. Mm-hmm. He said Norv would tell Troy, hey, just let it rip. Don't hesitate. Just let it rip. And that first pick, he hesitated. And they got picked. And, they didn't score a touchdown. They got 3 points. I'm trying to remember.
Defense.
Right. And the other pick.
I got a few for you.
The other pick to Fred Warner. Was that
deflected? It was deflected by Jimmy Ward, if I'm not mistaken. And Fred Warner, it was a bad throw, regardless of who deflected it. It was a cover 2 look. He should have thrown it into the dirt or checked it down to Zeke on the right hand side.
Right.
Zeke was running some sort of flare or whatever. He should have checked it down to Zeke, lived to play another day. But he thought he was Patrick Mahomes and tried to I can fit that in there and just.
There were so many times, and I know you've watched Dallas a lot more than I have, but I watched this game from kickoff to zeros on the clock. There were so many times where I was like, why did he do that? Like he's trying to
He's
fit
making
it
stuff harder than what it has to
into
be.
these tiny little windows, and I don't understand it. And then Dane, the touchdown pass he missed where he tried to throw it to CeeDee Lamb over Fred
Yeah, and
Warner
the seam route. There's
when
like
T
a cover
when
2 situation.
but did you see when TY was
Butt
open on the
naked.
left side?
Booted butt naked.
Yeah. Those are three different little game changing plays that kind of I feel like were the big plays that made the difference in this one. And maybe he thinks he has to do everything because he doesn't have the run game. He doesn't have y'all lost Tony Pollard at that point, so he feels like he has to put it all on his shoulders.
Here's the thing, man. It's a situation where I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, but we need to find out this offseason. Kellen Moore needs to get a job somewhere else because he's just a damn good OC. He needs to go somewhere else. And listen to me, hear me clear. He is such an amazing OC that I hope he gets the best head coaching job possible. On the other side of the ball, we have one of the worst defensive coordinators in the league, and I hope that he stays with us. He doesn't deserve to be a head coach anywhere else.
I see what you're doing here, buddy.
He is a horrible offensive coordinator. Correction. He's a horrible, horrible, horrible defensive coordinator.
I see what you're doing here.
Offensive coordinator, he needs.
You're not listening.
Dallas. He's like, Dallas needs to be in the rearview mirror because Dallas is only holding him back. So he needs to go. Here's the thing. We have, and people get very sensitive about Dak Prescott and he's their savior, whatever the I don't know, this weird obsession that people have with Dak Prescott. I'm gonna keep 100 because I've always kept 100 about him. He tries to do too much with what he has. If you operate within your skill set, do what you're supposed to do and stop second guessing yourself and being inconsistent and trying to do more than what you're supposed to. The game will be fine. We needed him to be completely average. What he did during the wild card, we just needed half of that. If we got half of that, we'd have been fine. But there were too many times second guessing it and predetermining his throws. That same play we're both talking about, and Fred Warner is the best off-ball linebacker we've seen in a very long time. Shoot. Probably since Luke Kuechly's of the world, Ray Lewis's, Patrick Willis's of the world, like one of the best off-ball linebackers we've seen in a very long time.
Right.
For him to be in the A-gap, showing blitz, and then retreating all the way to the middle of the field to cover CeeDee Lamb, his goal, and then Kurt Warner broke this down perfectly. I'll send you the clip. If you haven't followed Kurt Warner, he's one of the greatest follows on Twitter, and his YouTube channel is really good too. He had like a 50-minute clip of him breaking down that Cowboys game, or just where some stuff went wrong, where he would have made some better decisions. But the best opportunity for that throw, which he said millions of throws, or millions of situations, that's the right throw to make. There is a perfect window when Fred Warner turned his back to retreat to CeeDee Lamb within 5 or 6 yards of CD getting off the line of scrimmage. Rip it. That's when you throw the ball. Or, like Dan Orlovsky said,
TY.
Check it to TY. Because if you know, and this is JV stuff, if the linebacker shows you his back and there's only 2 guys covering the stacked wide receivers on the left side, and there's trips on the right side, it's a process of elimination. There's 2 people over here. There's 3 receivers over here being covered by maybe 4 people. This means I need to go ahead and go this, like, it's so simple. And of course, it probably makes more sense when you break it down in slow motion anyways, but still.
Yeah.
But the only way that we're going to see anything change, Deonte, because unfortunately, we're tied. This marriage is.
Yeah.
We can't get out of this marriage for at least another year without some severe penalties.
Yeah.
So my suggestion, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people already said this, with me being the draft nut that I am, I love the draft and player evaluations and the possibilities of new players joining teams. You need to let this OC go, let him fulfill his dream about being a head coach somewhere else, or you need to let the quarterback go. But regardless of what you decide to do with the OC and the quarterback, You have to
Well,
add. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but you have an owner slash GM who's like married to his staff. He's so
Yeah,
loyal to a fault
controlling.
of his staff because honestly they're his decisions because he's the
Yeah,
GM,
absolutely.
and so
That's the
that's
worst
like
part
him
about it.
admitting he's wrong, and like sometimes you have to be humble and understand that sometimes that
I got you.
these situations won't work or
I
can't
got
work.
you. Perfect example. Same quarterback era. We had this amazing all-pro wide receiver by the name of Dez Bryant. They let that situation with him get personal. Cut him. And they trotted out a little wide receiver by committee, a rookie Michael Gallup, if I remember correctly. There's a bunch of guys, but Michael Gallup was your best receiver. He was
Mm-hmm.
a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. And we were getting our asses kicked because there was no separation. And
Mm-hmm.
what did we do? We made an in-season acquisition. A lot of people had said at the time this is one of the worst trades we made
For Amari Cooper.
for Amari Cooper, and that instantly changed that offense because you had a valuable weapon, that a route technician, which this quarterback needs. He needs somebody that's capable of separation. And the front office, that was the front office admission of guilt. Like, oh, we messed up. We got rid of a number one. We need a number one. Let's go find one. But then they undid that wrong. They wronged that right by trading this guy away, making it personal again,
Yeah.
trading him away for peanuts. And now we're going right back to the same situation. So this is here we are. Market right now. I will bet $100 between today and the start of the season that there's going to be a first round pick spent on a wide receiver or some sort of historic trade getting a number one wide receiver or in a solid 1A, 1B type receiver situation with
My
CD.
dad told me on the phone he heard that y'all were trying to go after DeAndre Hopkins, which I had not heard
I can
yet.
see that. I can see that. Whether
Um,
that's going to be a solution, like whether that's going to like put a band-aid over, I don't know, an earthquake.
yeah.
I don't know, but
I also think um kind of to our point about the Bills game is y'all didn't have any kind of running presence, and I think against San Francisco it's tough
you
to run the
can't.
ball.
They have 11 professional football players too, but their identity is right now. Their identity is their defense. How
Yeah,
amazing their defense is, and they have what the number. I think they have the number one and number two rush
rush
defense in the
defense.
league.
Yeah, a couple of
Here's
times like in substitution of that, and that makes sense. In substitution of the run game, y'all were doing like these quick passes, like an extension of the run,
yeah,
which with I think it was CD, which one get the ball in CD's hands because at that point he's your one big playmaker kind of guy that can make a play.
right,
But yeah, to the other point where the Niners defense is just so good at stopping the run,
yeah.
you got to do
And
some kind of
here's the thing too, man. If I'm sitting in my couch watching the game, but also on my phone scrolling, reading articles and stuff, and even I noticed that every time that CD Lamb was in the slot, they would bracket, they put a corner on him, obviously, and they would bracket a few yards away from him, Fred Warner. Like, if I can see that by halfway paying attention, how the hell did the OC and the quarterback not realize maybe putting him in the slot was not the best idea because you eliminated your best option by far? So sorry about that. I don't know, Deonte. I don't know. But then again, to continue to operate off of a quick game like that, off a super quick West Coast game, you have to rely on your quarterback to make quick decisions and process things quickly. And he just was not doing that.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't think whether the route combinations that were called were bad, whether the checks or the plays that he was checking out of, whether those were good or sound decisions. I don't know. But after the first pick, I was like, yeah, it's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Just all she wrote. But I gotta say, his defense balled out. There are going to be a lot of pissed off defensive players. Well, except Trayvon Diggs making a business decision and dropping that pick that would have changed the tide of the game. Outside of that, I was impressed by three things. I was impressed by CeeDee Lamb. I was impressed by the defense, and I was impressed by the offense because we didn't hear Bosa's name at all.
Right.
At all. Like that was one of the first times that he had been eliminated. And shout out to the Smiths, Tyler and Tyron, for eliminating this dude. Now he made plays here and there, but say what you want. Bosa's eliminated from the game from the stat sheet from performing the way he normally does. You should win that game. And because they didn't, quarterback, man. Quarterback and the OC, they share the brunt of the blame.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, man. So hopefully the Cowboys can make some kind of adjustments. We'll see how that goes. Heading
Or
into
not.
conference championship week, man. We said that these divisional round games were going to be tough to pick. These championship games will probably be even tougher.
Right.
The cream of the crop, so to speak, rising to the top. Heading into championship weekend, of course, the first game, Dane, the Niners taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at home in Lincoln Financial Field. Yeah, this should be really good. I had a nugget right here I was gonna say about this game. Let me see if I can find it. It was there before.
Was it about the rush?
To your point about the Niners rush defense, Dane, they allowed the second fewest rushing yards per game. So you were right on that, 77.7 yards a game. Jalen Hurts faced a team that finished top 10 in rush defense twice in the regular season. While those two games led to his lowest rushing outputs, which is important because he uses his legs, he decided to go through the air. The top two teams he faced this year were the Titans and Steelers. He threw for 380 against the Titans and threw for a career high 4 touchdowns against the Steelers. So we'll see how they adjust. The Eagles want to run the ball. That's part of their identity, even though they have guys like A.J. Brown on the outside, Devontae Smith on the outside, Dallas Goddard, Miles Sanders coming out of the backfield. It's going to be an interesting chess match because DeMeco Ryans has these guys playing with confidence like they've had all year.
That's head coach DeMeco Ryans to you.
He
is him. He is him.
Whoever hires this guy, and I hope it's this cycle, they're going to get a good one. But this is going to be a tough game. It's in Philly. Not that will, I mean, mentality wise for San Francisco, obviously it's going to be, at least on the defensive side, I don't see that being an issue. Brock Purdy, I said last week would be where we kind of see him get brought down to earth, which
this is going to be
Dallas played defensively. They almost got him to where we saw moments where he was making throws that he made in the Big 12 that we usually say, oh, that's the Brock Purdy that we know. This Philadelphia Eagles defense leads the league in sacks. And I think they're going to turn it up a notch. What we saw Dallas do, I think Philly kind of takes that blueprint of how to confuse Brock Purdy, and they go after him. I won't make my prediction just yet, but what do you see in the game, bro?
I see, taking this to a Batman reference, I see an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. You have the rush defense that is completely amazing for the Niners, but you also have an amazing balanced attack from Philly. I'm just going to go out and say it. This is Philly's game. Philly has the beef, the power, and the pedigree up front to stop a team like the 49ers from being successful. They have the pass rush. They get up by more than 2 possessions. This will be the game where we say, well, there's the rookie. This is the rookie Brock Purdy we've been waiting on to see.
And we haven't seen, I think I mentioned that last week. We haven't seen him play from behind.
Nope. Y'all played Dak, so he definitely didn't look like the rookie, or Dak just looked that bad. Probably a combination of both. But we still haven't seen him bleed yet. And unfortunately, this might be that game.
Right. And I think the Cowboys defense laid a great blueprint besides from a few plays that last drive where the Niners scored. Y'all held them to what, 3 field goals
They were
until
tied
that
down,
point?
bro. Yeah, it was three. That was the only touchdown they scored that entire
Right.
game.
Um.
They were worn down. That defense was worn down, man.
Yeah.
So if
I
Philly, I
think.
think Philly can make it happen. They got the
Yeah.
horses up front.
I agree. I think Philly on the defensive side gets pressure on Brock Purdy, makes it difficult for him to kind of get settled in this game. It's going to be loud in Philly. It's going to be a big time playoff atmosphere, obviously with the Super Bowl trip on the line. But on the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts going against that defense.
The secondary is about to get shredded.
You think so?
Nah, he might have a tough time using his legs the way he does with Greenlaw and Fred Warner being the amazing athletes of there. Like, those are strong safeties cosplaying as linebackers, bro.
Yeah.
So that's the best way I can explain it. But
yeah,
he might not be able to use his legs, which is a major strength of his, but he's gonna dice up that secondary.
Yeah. He's gonna have to make throws to win the game. We've seen in the Seattle game, Seattle take advantage, at least in the first half, of DK Metcalf being able to separate from Ward on the outside in those one-on-one opportunities, like you were talking about. So I think that is their chance to make big plays down the field, because I feel like the Niners trust their secondary enough to leave them out on the island because they want to stop the run, right? So they're going to have the linebackers.
We ain't have speed like the Eagles have on offense.
Yeah,
so
right.
They
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he throws at least 280.
Those linebackers play so close to the line of scrimmage to stop the run, and those opportunities are going to be there for Jalen Hurts to hit AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, all those guys they have on the outside, Dallas Goedert, all those guys. They're going to have to take advantage of those opportunities. I think that is where this game is won and lost, those big play shots. And yeah, I'm gonna say Philly. Philly was my Super Bowl pick when we made our predictions a few weeks ago. So I'm gonna roll with them. I think you got them as well, right?
Well, I had the Seahawks.
Well, I mean, just for
yeah, Philly, absolutely.
Yeah.
There won't be any technical difficulties during these picks.
Yeah, but, you got all that fixed, right?
Yeah, I got all that fixed. Didn't have to worry about masking who I really wanted or who I knew was going to win the game.
Yeah,
but yeah, don't have to worry about that anymore. Those are all fixed.
Yeah. And then the AFC Championship game, Dane. AFC Championship game, Dane. Game, Dane. Joe Burrow and the red hot Cincinnati Bengals heading to Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow has won the last two against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, including last year's AFC Championship game. Let me look at that game. I want to look at the stats of that game. Box score. Okay. Yeah, so the Bengals beat the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime. Joe Burrow 23 for 38, 252 tutties. Why is it not showing Patrick Mahomes' stats? This is stupid. Okay. All right. Patrick Mahomes 26-39, 275, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, sacked 4 times. That's important. If you're getting to Patrick Mahomes and you're putting him on the ground and making it hard for him, you have a chance to be successful on defense. And like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, Dane, he's not 100%. High ankle sprain is a tough injury to play with at quarterback, especially
his right leg, right? Was it right?
It was his right leg. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's his planted foot too.
And if you're a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, he is best when he is running out of the pocket, making
off balance throws.
Right.
Like,
and we saw it at the end of that, post injury in that Jacksonville game, he wasn't able to move around like we know him to move around. Everything was quick. Cincinnati's defense, we saw last week, and we've seen this playoffs, them being able to put pressure on quarterbacks. Everything on paper, everything that we know about these two teams going into the game says that it should be a Cincinnati win. I'm going to predict a Cincinnati win. Patrick Mahomes is on the other side. I feel like it's going to be close. I'm going to go Cincinnati 50% because they were my Super Bowl pick. The other 50% because Joe Burrow, they've won 9 in a row. They're playing tremendous football right now. I feel like this is their revenge tour as far as redeeming that loss in the Super Bowl last year. I think they're trying to get back to that point, obviously. But it's scary down Patrick Mahomes. I'm not gonna lie.
I got you.
I'm gonna roll with the Bengals.
Okay. So
and Eli Apple needs to stay off Twitter, bro.
Yeah, he's a
Go
butthead.
ahead.
That dude is a butthead. You know one thing I love talking in between the whistles. I love it. But you make it a point to try to be on tough guy on the interwebs after the game. That's so, bro. That's corny as hell, bro.
Yeah.
And it's not just me saying this because I'm a Cowboys fan. Trust me, I want nothing more than to disassociate myself from that pathetic display of offense from that game. But between Eli Apple and Debo Samuels hopping on the internet after getting like, come on, bro.
Yep.
Like, and this is corny. Act like he's been there before. Like, that's so corny to say. But it's like, Eli, you saw what happened last time you got on the internet talking smack, and you got memeified to the 10,000th degree. He got memeified. Yeah. So I would have thought he would have learned by now, but obviously he hasn't. Anywho, back to the point. Let me hop off my soapbox. I'm just halfway kidding about that. Act like you've been there before. Just kidding. Keep the trash talk up. Just make sure you back it up. That's all I gotta say. Those jokes will fly. I'm gonna go with
soon
the
as
Chiefs,
you get
bro.
roasted.
Facts. Soon as you get burnt, soon as you get hit with a slant and go, they gonna be on you, my boy. As soon as you get ran over, as soon as Jerry McKinnon puts his helmet in your chest, yeah, it's on you, my boy. So, anyways, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I actually was teetering with this pick just because the offensive onslaught that the Bengals put on last weekend, kind of like, man, did I make the right AFC pick? Did I pick the right Super Bowl team? So I'm gonna say 50% because Patrick Mahomes is that guy and that offense is humming. And the other 50% because I have no idea how this game is going to go. But I hope this is probably going to be the better of the two games, in my opinion, just because we have two amazing quarterbacks that I absolutely love the future of the NFL in terms of quarterback play. Two very selfless guys.
At least on the AFC side.
Yeah,
AFC
true.
side is loaded.
AFC side is, you got Josh Allen, you got Justin Herbert, you got Patrick Mahomes.
Joe Burrow.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is on. I mean, I didn't want to say Joe Burrow because
Lamar Jackson.
But Lamar Jackson, good God. So yeah, this AFC's got it sold out. In NFC, aside from Jalen Hurts, what the hell are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
So, anyways, 50% because Patrick Mahomes is that dude, and the other 50%, this could be a toss up. I'd be satisfied if the Chiefs lost, but I'd also be very happy if they won, just because for prediction's sake. But I'm going with the Chiefs, man. I'm going with the Chiefs in that high-powered octane offense.
Yeah, should be two great games, man. I think the key. One last point to that Bengals Chiefs. I think the key, obviously, for the Bengals is make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. He's already going to be uncomfortable with the injury. Make him more uncomfortable. I think because I believe one, they're going to try to establish the run and take the pressure off Patrick Mahomes, but two,
Absolutely.
When they pass, I think everything's going to be quick. And find Travis Kelce on the field. Why? I don't understand this. Week after week, Travis Kelce is wide open. Wide open. Mm-hmm. He's the best player on the field receiving the ball. It'd be good to guard the guy, right? in my opinion. Who am I?
I can't rationalize how the hell he's wide open. I mean, he's a very elusive runner, very smart, and his instincts are off the
I was
charts.
getting
Just being
frustrated
QB,
watching
that's
that
crazy.
Jacksonville game because
Bucket naked.
like they were running this weird zone and letting him run free off the line of scrimmage, and like you got to get
Got to
physical
put some hands
with
on
Kelsey. Like he's a big guy. Like make everything tough for him.
him.
Make everything tough. And I didn't understand why they weren't putting pressure on Mahomes after post injury. Like they were just sitting back in a zone, rushing three guys. I'm like, oh my god,
You gonna pick the part.
you getting this man all day. But anyway, should be some great games this championship weekend. We'll be back next week to discuss the championship winners and the Super Bowl. But now,
What's that sound?
nerdy news segment brought to you by
Shout out to Keith.
Nerdy news segment brought to you by Keith. Shout out to Keith. Thank you, Keith, our producer, beats maker, that guy.
All things extraordinaire.
Episode 2, Dane, of The Last of Us. We discussed episode 1. If you have not listened to our review on episode 1, go ahead and check that out on last week's episode.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert as well. If you had not watched episode 1 or episode 2,
That's on you.
don't want to
baby.
listen to this. Yeah, so episode 2, Dane, what'd you kind of think of how they followed it up after the opening episode?
I'm loving the opening scene, the intro scenes.
Yes.
Bone chilling. Impressive. I got 2 F words for you. Flower and fungus. Like, I was curious the way that they were going to explain how the hell this how the hell this fungus found its way inside of humans and found its way to, I don't know, transform the entire planet to a desolate wasteland of undead creatures. But they did it masterfully. Masterfully. Again, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, cut this off. Don't, find a friend that has it. See if you can borrow their account password, watch it, whatever. But I was like, man, how are they gonna do this?
Yeah.
So when they explain, like, there's been some sort of incident at this grain and flour factory. And I was like, grain and flour? I was like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Then I look, just did some Googles and realized that there were some connections to the real world about Indonesia being one of the largest producers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, bro, that's so cool. So anywho, that was off the charts for me. But I was like, well, how is that going to affect everybody? And I was like, oh wait, flour, and that's literally
in almost everything you do to eat or cook,
especially Americans. Especially Americans, like the American diet is so. I had a burger today with what's the bread made of?
Yeah,
flour. I had quesadillas for dinner. It's
exactly
masterful the way that they set it out. Disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting. But opening was amazing, and from there, self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The episode took on a life of its own. The realism, the foreshadowing, they broke down a lot of the biology behind how the networks of the neurological functions and networks for these zombie-like creatures and the way that they're so effective at stalking their prey and communicating by a series of networks that they're all connected to. So it was great, bro. We can go into more detail, but what about you? What did you think about this? The follow-up episode of this incredible series?
Yeah, to your point where you mentioned about the opening scene, like we've seen these past 2 episodes that weren't in the video game, kind of set the stage of what to expect. So last week we saw like the kind of talk show kind of sit down of viruses and bacteria and how they can affect people and how it spreads and things of that nature is one thing we didn't get in the game, but it sets the stage of, okay, what are we dealing with here especially for people who had never played the game.
Right.
Kind of sets that stage of, okay, what happens if fungi, kind of spreads, right? So we get that.
Right.
And then in the beginning of this episode, we get the doctor in Jakarta that comes in and they ask her, okay, what is going on with this organism or whatever here? They have her look at it,
Shit,
and
it can't
she
survive without a human host.
right, and yeah,
Oh boy.
they have her look at the dead body and see that, that the virus, or I keep calling it a virus, but the
I got you. I understand
the
what you mean,
fungi
man.
bacterial has already how it affected this human before they had to kill her. So
Bullet wound to the head.
what was so great about that scene with the doctor to begin was she immediately knows there's nothing that they can do.
Right.
The soldier that's there is telling her what are our options? Is there vaccines? Is there medicine? She's like, there's no vaccine, there's no medicine.
This is the most
So he's
gangster
like,
shit.
what
The
are
most
you?
gangster shit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's the inhumane side of her humanity was so gangster. Like, bomb it,
bomb.
but let me go be with my family. Like,
Yeah,
bro.
at that point, yeah.
Like, my bad. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but that kind of puts you into the despair of like what the people right before this happened, and like what's so crazy about it. Like you mentioned how flour. I think the director and the people's choice to use flour is to make it relatable to the audience. Like one, because like you said, we use flour all the time, and two, you're like, dang, we use flour all the time. Like, could this really happen?
I would have been a
Like,
runner by now.
right. Like what I think it's more of like to get that aspect of how it's relatable and how it could happen I'm not gonna say it could happen in real life, but like making that connection
It's
to
based on a real fungus.
the everyday things that you and I enjoy, the people enjoy. I think that's an important thread that they spun off or that they didn't use in the game that makes it a clearer and more strong connection, I guess, to the audience.
Yeah, bro. I don't know if I have the willpower to give up Debbie cakes to avoid turning into one of the
Imagine
things.
if we gave up flour, like that's like 85% of our diet. Like,
yeah, we'd have to pivot. I mean, and the crazy, you mentioned that, it's a great thing. You remember what Joel forgot to get during episode 1?
the cake.
The cake. So had he got the cake, they
He would
could
have
have
been
turned.
done. And
They would have been.
well, his daughter eventually ended up dying, but she
Yeah.
didn't eat the cookies that
True.
the neighbor was making.
Yeah.
They didn't eat the biscuits that
Honey
and we
Bunny
forgot to
biscuits.
mention
Mama
Buddy
biscuits.
Garrity.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's Buddy Garrity.
Forgot about that.
I forgot to
It's
say that
just
last episode.
been seeing them the last few days because the wife was
Yeah.
watching Friday Night Lights randomly.
Yeah.
So, jeez, that's crazy.
Another big scene from this episode. I'm kind of just skipping around in my head,
The
but
Texas show too. That's
yeah.
I wonder if
Yep.
he lives here.
Oh, I'm
Texas.
sure he's in Texas. Like, I'm sure like 90% of that Friday Night Lights cast lives in Texas.
Somewhere in Texas.
The introduction of the clickers. We saw you had mentioned last episode seeing the clicker on top of the building in the
Buddy
final
was
scene.
crumping. He was crumping on top of the building on the left hand side. He was up there.
We finally get introduced to the clickers. I don't even know how to describe, but it just looks like like I don't even know how to describe visually what they look like. It's just like a big fungus, multiple bumps covering the face. It's just disgusting. They can't see, just like in the game, but they navigate through sound, and so
sonar crap.
Tess, Joel, and Ellie going through this museum. I think it's a museum.
And
it's
the museum, which is based on the video game too,
right?
Which is super dope.
They encounter their first clicker, actually 2 clickers.
Yep.
Right? Was it 2?
It was 2.
And the weird noise that they make, just like the video games, where it's like these clicking noises they use to navigate. They can't see, like I mentioned.
They can hear,
but they can hear very well. And during this instance, obviously, they make a noise, and they ended up going, getting entangled, so to speak, with these clickers. And throughout the process, we find out after they get out that Tess got bit by a clicker.
I didn't say nothing.
And if you watch the game, obviously, or excuse me, if you played the game, you know that this is similar
This is
to the
how it's
storyline,
gonna happen.
right? But what I thought was interesting. I was waiting. Like, to me, it felt like Tess in these first 2 episodes was not a villain, but she was like kind of
Just
put off
playing the
by
other side.
kind of put
To
off
me,
by Ellie
mhm.
until she saw that Ellie was immune, and that's
Right.
when she kind of wants Joel to go on and push forward and try to see where this goes to save humanity, so to speak. And I was listening to I don't know if you listened to the commentary after the episode, but
Oh
they
no,
had
I
kind
didn't
of
know that was a thing.
oh
I should
yeah,
start doing
they always do like a 6-minute commentary with like the directors and the boy that actually
that.
made the
Talking
game.
Dead.
Yeah, basically, it's like it's the thing that HBO does with all their series. Like, after the episode, like
Mhm.
the last 6 minutes of the episode, it's like them talking about
I
it.
always cut it off because I don't want them to show next time on Dragon Balls.
Yeah,
Like I don't want that to happen before they show the scenes or previews.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's off.
But
So good.
they basically had said how her Tessa's kind of flip to helping is kind of, oh, actually they had the actress who plays Tess. I can't remember
Mhm.
her name, but she had mentioned how her character kind of, when she finds out that Ellie, is immune, she kind of feels like this is her chance to atone for all of the bad stuff she's done in this pandemic world, killing people, stealing all these things. And so I felt like um Ellie, in those last moments where she sacrifices herself and tell Joel to kind of move
You
on.
skipping over the most disgusting part of the
What did I
episode.
miss?
She out there tonguing the little zombie dude
Oh yeah,
as she
at the end.
sacrificed herself. Oh, nasty ass. That's
That's a
disgusting.
nasty, bro. They made those things so disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, that was disgusting. Just imagine a series of spider webs, right? With the strength of like some toothpicks crawling out of somebody's mouth and tonguing somebody. If you
Yeah,
haven't watched it, like she nasty. She
yeah,
nasty for that. I
facts.
don't care if she was, saving them and helping going out with a boom. But that was disgusting. I was like, when she started getting when the dude like turned around and started walking, I was like, oh hell no. You better get that light, get the match going. And then when he got closer and was like, right, I was like, you better not, you nasty. And then
Take it.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
So yeah, she nasty as hell for that.
this is not a
Great.
visual delight if you don't
Yeah.
like squirming and all those things that are weird to look at. But
Man. Tongued up the zombie, man. It's
yeah,
disgusting.
this episode was kind of, I can't think of any other big moments or reveals because it was mainly filled with those three characters, correct?
Yeah. I think for one of the things that I did notice was just a lot of the what's the best way to put it? A lot of the nods to the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they were inside the museum using the cover to hide from the zombies like you do in the game, like
Yeah,
being able to, you don't have to interact or fight with most of the monsters in the game. You can most of the zombies in the game. You can walk your way around and creep around them. In fact, there are achievements being able to creep around them and not having to engage in fights with some of them because you don't have to. But seeing them, show those nods to that, them acknowledging the spores. We talked about in episode 1 where
yes,
the spores going to be a big deal, but we weren't sure because we were still in episode 1. Her acknowledging the spores at the very beginning, or when they were crossing the
when they're
bridge.
walking the highway.
Yeah, and then acknowledging the exploding ones. Like you remember the fights, or not the fight scene? Because I know you recently started playing it again, right?
Yep.
Well, that scene we had to in the gym, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
we had to shoot that. Yeah, and he was
That's where I got
spitting out
stuck at the first time I played it.
bruh.
That's hard. That's a hard part.
Bruh. So yeah,
What are they called? Bloats?
bloaters or something like
Yeah.
something weird, something weird. But yeah, those were them referring to that, and then obviously it was just a really cool tie-in the way that they explained how they can all connect and communicate to one another based on the little tendrils that or roots that come out from the ground. Like that was dope.
Yeah.
Because it's so unrealistic. Other than like the hive mentality, it's so. I mean, obviously, it's easy to rationalize. Okay, there's zombies in the movie. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
But for them to describe in such great detail,
and they show it too when they stepped on the hive, and then all of them like woke up and started
turned
running.
into Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Like they was all chilling on the ground, you know what I'm saying, crumping on the ground and stuff. And then all of a sudden, when the little roots came up and said, "Hey, they got bodies over here.
Yeah.
We got food. Come through. It's an all-you-can-eat
Yeah.
buffet, and there's 3 of them." They pulled up in less than a minute, but they pulled up in like 13 seconds, and like they were
Facts.
all running like super, like they were full form. You know what I'm saying, 90 to 90. So that was
Facts.
solid. But I'm really excited about what they got in store for episode 3. I'm trying to stay dark on all of it. So I try to stay away from previews, any type of, niches on Twitter and different groups on YouTube. Like stay away from all those because I want everything to be fresh.
Yeah. So. Speaking of which, and not to pivot off that, but yeah, the first 2 episodes, fire. Excited for episode 3, which we'll talk about next week. But like you mentioned, trying to stay dark.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been spoiled, but they are apparently the script for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has leaked on social media, like a lot of things that happen with Marvel. So be careful if you're listening. Dane, be careful online. I have not seen them as well.
I go dark.
Yep. Zero Dark 30.
That week out for a premiere, I was like, yep, I'm muting all these words. I'm deleting Twitter off my phone.
Yep.
I not listen to the radio. Don't listen to sports podcasts just to make sure
you're
about
3 weeks out. This Friday will be 3 weeks. Am I right? 4.
4, yeah.
Wait. 3.
February 17th. That's my wife's due date, right? Which of course, after Friday, she can, the babies can come at any point in time. So yeah, February 17th is the same day that Ant-Man comes out. No, you're not done, bro. Just got a little moment.
It is 3 weeks.
It's 3 weeks.
Okay. 3 weeks from Friday or Thursday if you go see it on the Thursday. I had to look at my calendar. Anyway.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, bro. Anything you want to say before we get up out this thing? Episode 95. Did you find a superlative for the episode 95?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, Deonte. Sorry.
You usually be on it, bro.
I don't got a superlative. Well, we can go with juvenile with the 95 to 2000. No, but he said 99 and 2095. But I don't know. I can't think of any great ones. There's probably a good one before my time.
Yeah. Well, the one that's dominating right now in the NFL is freaking Chris Jones of the Chiefs.
Oh, Myles Garrett. I mean, that's another good one.
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Right, but Chris Jones, because he's still
Chris Jones.
Yeah. We need a Chris Jones for the Cowboys.
Enough about the Cowboys. Tell everybody what them YouTube people say, bro.
Hey, man, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, man. Join the Naughty Gang. And it's like a 10,000 hour long YouTube video, but they only give you like 10 seconds worth of content, like somewhere typically in the middle or the later part of the video. But we're not going to do that to you here at the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. We're going to have a nice, solid hour to 2 hours worth of content, premium. Okay, just for you, tailored just for you. You're going to get all of it. All you got to do is go in your favorite place where you get all your podcasts, or you can hop on YouTube, watch it there. Man, hit us with the follow, like, and subscribe. You're going to get exclusive content through the entire video, not just a half of a percent. Boom.
Dane said it, man. Episode 95 of the Duo. You can follow us on all socials at DF's Right Steps, at DaneBTX, at Duo SNS Podcast. We on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I think that's it.
We got messenger pigeons out there too.
Episode 95, man. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us. We out.
The Duo.